and welcome to today's Dive Into Reiki episode. I'm very excited. I have with me a guest who's actually from Brazil, but currently living in Japan, Alicio Inafuku. He's a third-generation Brazilian Japanese, and he worked as an engineer for 20 years. In 2010, he decided to learn more about Reiki. In 2012, he actually founded a holistic practice called Casa da Vida, the House of Life. And then he started to look and practice and going deeper into it. He found a book by Frans Stiene, did a Shinpiden with him, and he's actually the first proponent of Japanese-style Reiki in Brazil. Currently, he's in Japan to perform a kind of Shugyo, and Shugyo can be seen as an intense training to find mastery or inspire mastery. And he felt he needed to embody the precepts of Reiki and also deepen the understanding, because as I always say, there is so much depth to this practice. Thank you so much, Alicio. It's night in Japan, early here, so I appreciate the effort and the time difference and making yourself available.
Oh, I would say thank you, because it's always nice to talk to you. It's, we are colleagues, same school, right?
Yes.
And it's just exciting to exchange some ideas
Thank
from
you.
you.
I think you're the first person actually from Latin America I'm talking in the podcast, so I'm very excited about that as well.
yeah, we are somewhat related.
Exactly. So I start every podcast episode with the same question. How did you come in contact with Reiki the first time?
Oh, this is a mystery. One day I woke up and decide to I think I will join a Reiki course. I didn't even know what was Reiki.
Wow.
It was a chain of events that led me to Reiki. First of all, I was working at that time in São Paulo, the metropolitan area, and suddenly I was given a chance to move to the countryside of São Paulo state.
Wow.
It literally fell into my lap.
Wow.
A guy who was participating in a job interview, he just gave up and indicated me to take his place.
Oh, wow.
And at that point, I've never heard about anything related to Reiki. Never. And when I moved from São Paulo to Sorocaba, which is that city in countryside, I started to see some flyers talking about Reiki. And I first of all, I thought, no, well, must be some crazy Japanese religion. No, I won't. If I want to, I'm not interested in it. But somewhat it just happened. We always say to our students that Reiki is kind of intelligence which leads you to something better.
Indeed.
And I think that Reiki was already working on me before I even knew about it.
Yes.
And in Brazil, we only have the most known Reiki style is that Western Reiki from Miss Takata, the Usui Shiki Ryoho, right?
Yeah.
And somewhat other like shamanic Reiki. Some guys from Genda Reiki and Jikiden Reiki. But it's the most common one is the Shikiryo. And, you know, it's very therapy related, right?
Yes, hands-on healing mostly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I went into level 1, level 2, level 3A, and 3B. And it was about 2011 when I finished the training, the 3B, and started to give classes in 2012.
Oh, quite soon, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have the preoccupation to, or at least wait a year of before starting actually giving classes.
Yes.
And it was a coincidence that 2012 was the end of the world.
According to the Mayans, and here we are,
Yeah.
still, yes.
And it, for me, it really was the end of the world. The end of the cooperative life and the starting of the new life within Reiki.
It's also a beautiful way of seeing the end of the world sometimes,
Yeah.
right? We're so literal sometimes.
Yes. And I gave classes until in the Usui Shiki Ryoho style until 2017. But something started to bother me. Like, I don't know what happens with you, but the intuition became very prominent within me. And I started to feel uneasy, like someone was telling me like something, hey, there is more into Reiki, not just this thing.
I know that feeling, yes.
And then I start to search, mostly in Amazon.
Which can be very surprising, the amazing things and amazing quote marks that you can find about Reiki. Yes, it's a little bit dangerous.
Yes, yes. But luckily, again, I don't think it is a coincidence, but the first book that appeared on the screen was The Inner Heart of Reiki from France.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what I was looking for. And I think that at that time, France had like 5 books published.
Yeah, he had around that, and many of them were also like the earlier books with his ex-wife Brownman, and so at the beginning you can see also the evolution of the book, and that was the first book, probably mostly written by himself.
Yes, and I bought all of them. I ate everything, and then I decided to meet him personally. But you know, at that time I didn't have a passport, not a visa, nor the money.
You had never left Brazil? Like you never like left the country?
Well, I left but there was some corporative travels,
Yeah.
not not sponsored by myself.
Okay.
Never.
Oh, wow. Well, Brazil is so beautiful and big that, yeah, you can take vacations everywhere.
Yes, yes. You know that there are places in Brazil that I personally never went.
It's huge. Yeah.
I don't know Amazon, the central part of Brazil, never went.
Wow.
Never go, never have gone in any of these places.
So here you are, no passport, no visa, no money. How did you do?
You know, the first thing we say to our clients is be open to whatever you need, right? Before a Reiki session. And then I decide to follow my own advice. So I did some small steps. Well, get a passport. It's like $50.
Yeah.
No. Oh, I can afford that. Then I got the passport. Second part was the visa.
Which is harder.
It's harder. Um, it's like twice the price is $120. But sometimes you get rejected in
Yeah.
the interview.
For the people who are watching this, you were looking for a visa to the US, and when you live in Latin America, it's not always easy to get a visa to the US.
No,
Reject a lot of them. Yeah.
but you know, it was surprisingly easy.
Oh, I love that.
I just when I entered in the counter, which was the guy was there to interview the other people. He just said, "Where are you going?" I'm going to LA. How much time you will stay? I think about 1 week. Okay, you're through.
Okay, and I want to mention, because I did a process of immigration. Visas, no, because I had also a Belgian passport and it could enter, but all my work visas, my green card, my nationality, and it was hell. Like the questions, the mistakes, like it was very convoluted. So hearing that, and for the people who haven't done this process, it's like very rare that it happens so smoothly and easily.
Yes, it was surprisingly easy. And then, well, I have the passport, I have the visa. Now I just need the money.
Which is no small feat, because Rio is a very, sorry, Sao Paulo is a very expensive city. You know, saving
Yes,
money there, it's
yes.
hard. Yeah.
But you know, I had a house for sale in São Paulo, which was posted about 1 year, and no one got interested in the house. So I decided to go there and ask the sales guy to see what's going on. Why can't you sell it for me? And it was, I think, Friday, and someone interested appeared on Saturday.
No way.
Yes, and by Tuesday of the next week, I have sold it.
Also, the money showed up. That's amazing.
Yes, I think Reiki was leading me.
But as you said, we always tell our clients or the people we share hands-on healing, be open to receive what we need. And ironically, that is so hard for us to apply sometimes outside the room, the healing room, but also in our own life as practitioners. So I love that story. I think it's, it's very inspiring for all of us to be more open as well.
Yes.
But you did the work. You went to the embassy. Like, you also did the work. It wasn't like you sat on a chair as well.
Yes. Doing little steps, increasingly harder, but small steps.
That's amazing.
And I had everything to meet Frans finally.
You went to LA, did your Shinpiden, and how did that change your practice after when you went back to Brazil?
I think I got more confident on the teachings. It just added up a layer of knowledge, but because to meet Frans personally is very different than just to read in the books, right?
Yes, absolutely. And for those of you who watch or listen to this, he's actually very funny, joyful, very energetic. So it's an experience, and his energy is it's an experience as well. The power of his energy.
Yes, exactly. And there is a point which I want to share with you.
Yes.
When we was talking in the pre-interview some weeks ago, I told you that I'm writing a book mostly on the precepts, which is the foundation of the Reiki style.
Yes.
The system which we make part, right?
Right.
And the first phrase from the precepts, it's Shofuku no Hiho, which is usually is translated like the secret technique to invite happiness, right?
Yes.
And going deeper into the meaning, I got some insight, a big insight,
Ooh.
which is the precepts, they had a lot of layers of understanding.
Yes.
And at first time we were talking about, okay, Frans told us that Hiho are related to Buddhist esoteric practices from Mikyo and Shingon Buddhism, right? But he from Hiho is also related to something hidden, occult, secret, and Ho in Buddhism is related to Dharma. Dharma is teaching or knowledge. So an occult, a hidden Dharma. And Hiho is, Shofuku is to be open.
Oh, that is beautiful, to be open to the secret
Right.
teaching.
Yes. But they say that in Buddhism that the Dharma only appears when you start to practice it.
Wow. No, that is a very important point, because a lot of people think the attunement or the initiation is enough. That's all you have to
No,
do, and then you practice whenever you want.
no, it's just the beginning. So I sense some kind of urgency in this phrase. It's like someone is saying to you, hey, you must decide it right now that you will be happy whatever the conditions. So you have to start to practice now.
That is a beautiful way of putting it that I've never heard before, but it's and it's still very close to that, but it's that element of practice now, because life is going to be hard sometimes, and you want to still be centered in that heart energy, in that happiness, right? It's beautiful.
Yes, yes. Uh, and like I was telling you before the interview, something came up after we talked.
Yes.
And when you perform a radio, I don't know you, but often I feel like I've learned something, but I can't reach what exactly is. Have you felt this?
I felt it, and I felt it. And for example, my last training, I had a last ratio where I felt it so strongly. And what I felt was, I'm not even supposed to understand it with my head. I will understand it through practice. That's what came to me.
Yes. That's exactly the point.
Yeah.
And you know what's the meaning of radio? Spiritual blessing,
Yes.
spiritual offering. So I don't think I was wondering if Mikao Sui was saying like he was talking about the radio.
He probably was, because especially we're thinking, but for me, like, also I have this weird, and probably is my approach, that everything with the right state of mind can be Reiju. And for those of you who are Western, Reiju is initiation. Is that state of mind of oneness, right? So I think for me, as we evolve in the practice, even a simple gasho with the right state of mind could be Reiju. So I agree with you. I think he meant Reiju, but also everything in life can become, as you say, like, can become Dharma practice in a way.
Yes, and you really feel that you receive something that
Absolutely.
you can't touch at first. But when you start practicing, that knowledge will suddenly show up.
I love that you brought this up, and I love the words you use, right? That we cannot grasp, we cannot touch, and it shows through practice. Because I think a lot of us, we actually destroy that knowledge by trying to understand it. Like, we get given this beautiful gift, and then we hack it through our rational mind, and then it, in a way, is lost. You know, it's like cage instead of letting it flow through practice.
Yes. And then you must open yourself to touch it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And there is some other layer that I just have inside. I think radio is like a highly developed for a type of communication from true self to true self.
Well, that's a beautiful way of saying it. Yes. And it's imparting wisdom also from teacher to student, right? Without words.
Yes. And because of this, this is some expanded view of the initiation, right?
Yeah, because I think the expanded view is literally I'm connecting you to this energy so you can perform hands-on healing. It's very the perception of what Reiju initiation is very basic in most Reiki people, right? I do this so you can do this, which is almost like I download my update on my phone so I can order food immediately. And I think what you're bringing today to life is like there are so many layers, but it's also, and it's the beauty of Reiju, right? In a way, we've made it into a ritual, but we lost that beautiful richness. And as you said, like the soul touching, the soul wisdom that is imparted.
It's, you know, it's the, I don't know, it's the physical form of, you know, that word namaste.
Yes.
That's exactly this. My inner God greets your inner God.
That is a beautiful way of describing it. And I think also very easy to understand for the people who practice yoga or more Western Reiki. It's like a physical performance of Namaste. That is beautiful. I
Yes.
really appreciate you sharing that.
And uh, I came to understand that we can change the world with this.
We can.
Because the more we practice it, the more the light will expand. And this light will communicate with something inside the people. It's like, you know, electromagnetic induction.
Yes. I love that the engineer in you is coming out.
Yeah. You induce that sleeping part of the people. It's like you plant a seed inside each people.
And I think also you say something beautiful, right? We practice and then we don't need to go on the street and touch people with our hands.
No, it's like exactly like Frans said.
Yeah, it's like, but with that open heart, and again, we come to open, right? People feel that energy, even if we're not touching them. We just need to enter a room with that energy, and it starts to create
Yes.
ripple. And I think the point that you bring, it's so valuable because people say like, "Oh, I cannot place my hands on everyone." Like if I could, it's like you don't need to. You just need to practice on yourself, most of all.
It's like, you know, a car with a dead battery,
Yes.
and you use another car with and use your own battery to with
Jumpstart.
cables
Yeah.
to charge the other car, and then it starts to work, and then you have a like communication of the energy between the two cars.
Yeah, that is also a very easy to understand image for Reiju, it's yeah. And also I love that image of the car because then if you, when you got the Reiju, they jump started your battery. If you don't run the car, which is practice, you're gonna run out of battery again.
Yes.
So you need to actually go and run and make a few miles with the car to charge fully the battery.
Yes. Because in Western Reiki, they think that the energy is external to them,
Yes.
and we are just using the universal energy to restart it, but the energy is already inside them, and that's the point.
It's both. Yeah, I was reading a pamphlet from the Gakkai from like the 70s. I think I got a copy, a PDF. And it's funny because it literally mentions it like the energy is outside and inside, right? And up to the point that probably when we really evolve, you won't feel the difference. But it's like we always think it's external. But even from the beginning, it was always very clear that it was also from the inside. And
Yes.
as you mentioned, it's something that got lost when it moved to the West.
Yes, people think that we channel it. but it's not entirely true.
No, but I think also I think part is the religion in the West. We always place the power on the God, on the like that system. And being here in this human world always has been seen as like almost like lesser than being in heaven and with the God. So I think a lot of people, it's easier for them to think it's not me because I'm not worth it. I'm just channeling and placing everything outside, and also we place responsibility of our lives outside. Why am I always so miserable? Like, you don't love me, they're in the heaven, but we're actually doing also we also don't acknowledge a lot of our own things, I think. So it's not just Reiki, it's everything.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your bringing that, because you're also bringing it in a very fresh way with a new vision. And I think what you're doing is also very easy to grasp for people who may not have trained in Buddhism or like going even deeper into the system.
Yes, and it's like exactly the reason that I'm in Japan, to to be more true to myself.
And that is something I wanted to ask you. So for everyone, Shugyo is really an intense training to go deeper into your practice. So how come that you're in Brazil, you have Casa de Terapia, everything is going, and suddenly you decide you're taking close to 2 years off to go to Japan?
Yes.
I think you're also you didn't speak completely perfect Japanese, so you're really going back after 3 generations. So tell us, how did that come about?
Again, it's Reiki led me. I started to see some videos from Japan in YouTube, and I started to want to go to Japan. Some like missing it, right? And at the same time, I wasn't comfortable within myself. I was like feeling that I was just repeating the words from France.
I know that feeling. I ended up in Japan
And
after you too.
yes, and there is the precept: be true to yourself and to your way, right?
Yes.
And it started to bother me into a point that I really decided to leave Brazil and go to Japan with some very specific objectives, like visiting the memorial stone and the tomb of Mikausui, do a mountain Shugyo.
Oh, wow. I really admire you. And that scares the hell of me. Yeah.
It's will be a very intensive training. I have already enrolled. The training will be from September 10 to September 16.
Wow, a whole week.
Yes, a whole week. And there will be 2 days of spending meditation in a Tendai temple
Oh, beautiful.
in Dewasanzan, which are 3 mountains, which is especially very direct for Shugendo practitioners in Yamagata Prefecture.
Okay. I'm getting so jealous. Sorry, you're talking that. I'm like, I want to go there again.
You can enroll it
Yeah.
within the training. They accept the women because there are some sects from Shugendo that they don't accept.
Yeah, no,
but this one, they accepted everyone.
oh, that's lovely.
I will send the details after the training.
And I'll put in the link for whoever is like wants to do the training to check it out. I think that's great. So you're gonna do, and what you wanna get? So why? Because you and I are aware of Shugendo, but for the people who watch this, what is Shugendo? What is the training, and what do you want to get out of it?
Well, Shugendo is a religion which is a result from a mixture of Shintoism, Buddhism, Taoism, and anemic beliefs, Japanese anemic beliefs.
Wow.
And they believe that they can be one with nature and be one to themselves by doing some pilgrimage into the mountains.
Wow.
And we believe that Mikao Sui himself used some Shugendo techniques, especially that 21-day meditation. And I want to be sure that it's really true. There is a searching rule in this training also. I just want to talk with the masters there and ask about this 21-day practice.
And also, I love because you get to, right? You get to find out, did he probably practice this or not? But also, when you're practicing it, obviously not 21 days, but you're also getting a little bit of the taste of what he may have gotten from it as well for yourself and to teach it.
Yes. Yes. And who knows? Maybe I can go through this 21 days someday.
Yes.
You know, if we start to go deeper and deeper into the practice, maybe something, it sparks something within you.
Yes.
And I have already talked to a Shugenja, which is a Shugendo practitioner, and he talked. He told me about one practice they do, which is called Oketamo. Oketamo means like I accept everything.
Wow. Which is very Buddhist, actually. It's very, yeah, that is very, very Buddhist. It's like accepting things for what they are.
Yes. And it's just what we ask it to our clients. Hey, open yourself to whatever you need.
And also what it is funny because in life, most of the time, we're actually fighting with what it is, fighting with the way your work is, your partner is literally the opposite of how we lead our lives often in society.
And this is suffering.
Yes. So that was Haketamo?
Oketamo.
Oketamo. Okay, I'm going to write that because that is a lovely concept.
Oh, I can tell you
Yeah.
more about this after the training.
We will have to do a catch up because you're doing this training, but you're doing other trainings as well, right? You're spending a long time in Japan training. What is the other training you mentioned?
The other training is the life itself. Life in Japan, it's very hard. I'm very far away from my family, very far away from my comfort zone.
Yes.
And I must rely on Reiki techniques and the Reiki practice to go on smoothly with the life in Japan.
And it's funny because obviously you're third generation Japanese, if I'm right, but Brazilian culture in terms of body language, right? And a lot of things is so different. Like, for example, in Brazil, there is no personal space separation. In Japan, you have, like, everything is very, very different. So all of that is also in a way a training because it's very different to your daily way of life as well.
Yes. And just, just an example. Um, I'm working in a factory, and you have productivity targets every day.
Oh God.
And, I was struggling with this. I couldn't reach by any means, and I was getting desperate. Hey, hey, I'm going to be fired.
Wow.
And then, we have some small flashes of wisdom, right? Some time of the day. And was telling myself, hey, what did you learn about it? No, you must use the hara. You must ground yourself. Don't let your mind think too much. Focus in the moment. And voila.
It's amazing, isn't it? And I
Yeah.
think for me, Japanese culture is very much like that. They're focused on what they do. They're not that easily distracted, at least when they're working. And but
Yeah.
they're also obsessed with doing the like efficiency in movements, right? They become so efficient because they practice, and they perfect everything. So there's the least effort to have the best result.
Yeah.
But for that, you cannot get the mind into it. The body has to be part of it. And as you say, like hara, moving from the hara.
Yes. This is a small example.
But it's a great example because I think, again, a lot of times we separate Reiki practice from life. And you will say, oh, I have to work in a factory to be able to afford my Reiki life. And you are actually using the factory as a ground for practice of your Reiki, right? That is your Shugyo, it's your daily life at the factory.
Yes.
Because also you look Japanese. So for them, it's like, hold on, he looks Japanese, but he behaves like a Brazilian. And all those things, it's also must be creating a lot of confusion sometimes.
Yeah, it does really create confusion.
Maybe you should go and open a dancing school. So to teach them to dance a little bit more loose.
Yes. And it has been very challenging so far.
Yeah, but I think you're also writing a book about the precepts. So it seems to be giving you, like, if it were easy, perhaps it will not give you that many gifts. But I wanted you to talk a little bit about the book you're working on and starting to prepare based on this trip about the Reiki principles.
I always had some doubts, some questions that nobody seemed to know the uh, answer. Like, first, like, why Mikao Sui decided to do that 21-day practice?
Yes.
Why is that?
No idea. Yeah, like everyone else, I can tell you I have no idea. Yeah, I will say looking deepening so high spiritual quest or looking for enlightenment. That's the only very vague answer we always get.
And I thought that no, all the masters like Buddha, Christ, they spend a time of Shugyo. Christ Jesus went to the desert, spent some time there, and was tempted by the devil himself, right? Buddha also, he went into meditation and he was attacked by devils also.
Yeah, with arrows.
Yes. And I was wondering if Mikao Sui was looking for the same thing. And all of them involved you retiring yourself from your normal environment and be confronted with your own shadows.
Yes.
And that is why I decided to do a 2-year Shugyo here.
Wow. It's intense, but yes, I'm already excited about where you've gotten, so I can imagine at the end of it, you will be literally a different person.
Yes. Well, you know, every day I'm changing a little. Like, um, don't be angry, right?
Yes.
In the factory, I was getting angry with myself for because I wasn't achieving the productivity, and that was another thing that I just perceived with me. Hey, I'm getting mad. I'm pushing myself, and then I start to think, no, let's breathe, let's ground, let's have compassion.
Less often. Yeah.
Do it softly, not harder. And has been a good training as far as I know.
And even as you said, being away from your family for so many months, that is also all those feelings, worries that also can come must be hard to handle without a practice.
You know, the attachment and your own pride. Many people said, hey, you are going to work as a normal operator in Japan. You are you are you are having a regression on your career. That happened too.
I can see that, especially I remember being Latin America was very like in the US is more flexible, but I remember Latin America, like if you were an engineer, you could not do any job that were not like a corporate job or an engineering like higher up. Yeah.
So that is part of the training to be, that it is a precept also. Only for today, be grateful, or be humble.
Be humble, exactly. And that one is trickier than it seems. I think because being angry, being worried is kind of obvious. But the humble part, we don't know those layers of pride that we have ingrained, and they go very deep as well.
Oh, it's very deep. Um, I'm studying it right now about humbleness and great. What's the relation with, because at first it's like to be very different. What is the relation about being grateful and being humble?
It's
You know?
No, I'm thinking because I've been going through also some changes about even the perspective of my life and how, for example, I grew up without gratitude. My family always felt like they were lacking, and then suddenly I look back, I'm like, I always had food. I've been in contact through my work with people who are really underprivileged. And that pride in my family didn't let us see how much we had. And it went literally like as soon as the pride went away, like this huge amount of gratitude came in, and it's like you can feel your heart bubbling with it. So I think, yeah, what you're saying really resonates. For me, it's like pride, being humble, and gratitude are very linked.
Yes, yes. It's like, you know, uh, that all precepts lead into oneness, right?
Yes.
And it's very, um, people see a lot of difference between giving and receiving.
Yeah, and you even hear people say, I am a giver. Yeah, it's extremely differentiated to the point that some people cannot even receive, or some people only receive. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just realized that I have a very great difficulty on receiving.
Yes, most
It's
of Reiki
not related to
practitioners, right?
pride,
But some days you receive like that, the house selling, the passport. It's so maybe you're on your way to receiving now.
Yes, I'm getting softer on this issue,
Mm.
but you know, it's about having joy, the same joy on receiving, and the joy of giving.
It's funny. I'm thinking sometimes when we give, we feel we're generous, but there is a little bit of pride in there. I'm the giver.
Yes,
And I had not seen the pride into it. So thank you for pointing that out.
yes. And if you don't have the presence, you won't perceive it. You want to realize that what is at play in the moment. It's pride of, or you're really being generous.
It's sometimes you are as well, right? But it's interesting to do those checkpoints. And I'm thinking sometimes we don't receive because of pride as well. I don't need it. I'm strong enough. So there is a lot of pride beyond. And sometimes we're selfless. It may be a problem of self-esteem, but pride, there is also a tinge of pride I had not seen before.
Yes, and it it's all about having an open heart,
Yes.
which leads to the shofoku no hiho.
I love how you pronounce that. I will never be able to pronounce that. Yeah. And
Yes,
also
you
practicing.
receive.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, to be open to the blessings, the
And
blessing of receiving and the blessing of giving.
yeah, and it's funny because I do believe most Reiki practitioners have trouble receiving. We offer sessions, sometimes we don't even do our self-treatment. And what you're saying is in the line that leads to the precepts, that's the biggest. It's already there, right? So
Yes, I'm so fascinated about the precepts. I'm a big fan. it's almost like, you know, you like a child, like a kid with wings, Lego toy in the Christmas. You can do
Oh,
anything with the you can pick up the pieces and
move them around. But you
assemble it.
also understand Japanese, which is a big, because you have also, again, you understand Japanese culture, you grow up in a Western culture. So you also have that big gift of being able to see it from the different points of view, right? As a
Yeah.
Westerner, it's very hard for me to understand the layers because it's a different culture, but you actually are living in these two worlds.
Yes. Yeah. Always saw it in the wrong way.
Or maybe not the wrong way, just one way, right?
Yes. But you know, in Brazil, I think that I was too Japanese to be Brazilian. And now in Japan, I think I'm too Brazilian to be Japanese.
Oh, I have one test. Do you hug people?
Oh, I can't.
Right. I was saying, like, if
I
you
want to, but I can't.
so you're Brazilian. If you want to hug people, yeah, like I learned that even the word hug would make them uncomfortable. Like, yeah, it's very strange. Yes. But
And
that's it's a beautiful place to be in because then you become more flexible and more open again, right?
yes, it's all Shugyo.
But I think for you, it literally must be confusing because with me, they saw me in Japan and they knew white woman, she won't know the body language. Like I had a little bit more leeway. But with you, it must be even for them very disconcerting because they will not, you don't have like the white woman excuse of not of trying to hug them or something like that, right?
Right. But you know, as a Reiki practitioner, we started to feel more the moods, the energy of the people.
Yeah.
And then you just see now that that one doesn't want any type of contact.
Yeah.
That one needs but don't want.
Yeah.
You see, and again, I came into that conclusion that energy is a highly developed type of communication.
It is a beautiful way of putting it.
We, you know, we are like energy psychologists.
Well, that's a lovely way. I've never heard that before. That's a great term.
Yes, because what is a hands-on reeling section? It's we are actually talking without words.
Yeah. Helping people release, move emotions, process. Absolutely.
And we ask people to open themselves, right?
Right. So I end, before I give you your drawing, I end every interview with, because obviously when people watch this, they're going to say, Alicio, he was an engineer, he had his own Reiki business, he's now in Japan training with the Shugyo. I'm this poor little practitioner in Wichita or a little town in Switzerland, and I will never go there. So I ask everyone to say like a little mistake that now is funny and is like a lesson you may share with your students, or something you believe Reiki was and it wasn't, or even now in Japan, like one mishap or one thing that happens that when you go, oops, but you learn something from.
Well, when I was a teacher of the Usui Shiki system, I used it to think that I knew everything about Reiki.
Yes.
You know, it's not, if you say about proportions, it's like 20%, right? It's just hands-on really.
Yeah.
And I saw that 3 days course, 2 days course, and I used to say, hey, what they say in 2 days, why they need this amount of time? And I was totally uh, full of ignorance.
It's I think I'm starting to think that is the normal stage that we start Reiki.
No, I've seen people that go through the 3B training, and the next day they are masters.
Yes.
It's like you get the driver's license on Sunday, and in Monday you are a pilot, you are an instructor.
Yes.
No, um, I was that kind of person.
You're not alone. I think not so much Reiki 3, but Reiki 2, I did believe in Reiki 2. I knew everything except like teaching. I remember going through that. And thank you for sharing, because it's not something, I know it's vulnerable. So thank you for sharing.
Yes, the most dangerous thing is to think that you know everything.
I think now I'm thinking about it, it's like whenever we think that, we should know this a red flag and check that we actually don't, right? Because I think even in practical terms, you can never know anything about history. It's like you close yourself. You've been
Yes,
talking the whole interview about being open. If you think you know everything, there is no way for anything to enter anymore.
yes,
And then your practice becomes joyless and boring. You're just repeating the same things for 20 years.
exactly.
And you don't end up in Japan discovering you cannot hug people.
Yeah, and to see that I don't know everything.
And that's also the beauty
I'm
of it.
far from knowing everything.
And that's why you're smiling with excitement right now. Probably if I talked to you 3, 4 years ago, you will not, you know?
Yes, exactly.
I'm excited. Thank you so much, Alicio, for sharing all of that. I want to share, and obviously I do think there was a little bit, even though you're from Sao Paulo, of influence of the Cristo Redentor in my drawing, but what came to me was this image. And we were talking about
Oh,
the energy moving, up and down. So for me, instead of a line, it really became about these centers opening and moving. And then this idea of hara and grounding, which always represent with flowers. But it was very much an image of surrendering, what came to me, of really allowing yourself to receive, and then how that will flower and blossom into other things.
oh, that's perfect.
Thank you so much. And then the silver and gold, in Japanese, sun and moon, so it's non-duality. I always use those colors.
Oh.
Yeah,
Ah, yes, yes, precisely.
thank you so much. Yeah, and
Very.
I mostly draw women, so sorry. It's very hard for me to draw men. I always draw mostly the feminine shape for everyone.
No, no, that's human.
Exactly. It's a human shape. But thank you so much for this beautiful interview. I'm going to request you one thing, and this is because I do love Portuguese. And also I love Japanese. So I was wondering if you could say the precepts in Japanese and then the precepts in Portuguese. Will that be
Okay.
okay to end the interview?
Um, which one do you
Let's
prefer?
start with the Japanese and then with the Portuguese.
Um, so first phrase is uh, Shofuku no hiho,
Yes.
万病の霊薬。今日だけは怒るな、心配すな、感謝して、行を励め、人に親切に。Now in Portuguese. a técnica secreta para receber as bênçãos do céu. O remédio espiritual para todas as doenças. Somente por hoje não se irrite, não se preocupe, seja grato, seja verdadeiro com você e com seu caminho, e tenha compaixão por você e pelos outros.
Obrigada. It's beautiful. I had never heard them in Portuguese. It's beautiful.
Yes, that there is a lot. There are a lot of translations.
Yeah, but that one is very beautiful.
But
Right.
this one is the one I use in my courses.
Yeah. And I'll put, even though people know the obviously the translation, the average translation, but I'll put the translation, the English translation of the notes of the version that you said in Portuguese, because it's very beautiful. And I can understand it, but I cannot speak it like very well. I speak like very funny and I move my shoulders. And now I'm realizing like I'm learning Brazilian, I'm learning Portuguese, and it's not as rhythmical. It's beautiful too, but I'm having the trouble because I say ch, sech instead of set. So I'm trying, one day I'll do it though.
Oh, people in Rio de Janeiro,
Yeah.
they speak this way.
Yeah, I learned like mostly that, yeah.
But it's like a regional
Dialect,
accent.
yeah. Perfect. So we're gonna do a date, and in a few months we're reaching back and just getting a lot more to know about how you're doing. But I want to thank you so
Certainly.
much, because again, we have a 13-hour difference. You're doing your Shugyo, you're working, and you really were very kind to answer very fast and share your time with you. And I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, you are always welcome.
Thank you.
No, it's very exciting to exchange ideas.